Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this newsroom special. I am your host Omar Khalid. And today we are going to talk about the 10th anniversary of the heinous incident that led to the creation of the National Action Plan. How can we forget what happened in 2014 on this very day in the Army Public School, Peshawar, where around 132 children and teachers were mercilessly killed, brutally martyred by terrorists, and as a result of it, a total of 147 people lost their lives. The fact is that this also led to the narrative building as far and the non-kinetic and kinetic operations that our government and our forces have together thwarted in order to curtail all such nefarious elements and their nefarious designs that emanate through this incident that will forever remain etched in our minds and in our hearts. Who can forget that very day? Who can forget the way this whole incident unfurled? We will come back with our guests, but before that we have a short report to talk exactly about that and about terrorism.
Against terrorism has been a long and winding road, marked by sacrifice, resilience and determination. Since 2001, Pakistan has been at the forefront of the global war on terror, fighting against the militant groups that threaten regional and global security. The war on terror began in the aftermath of 9/11 attacks. When Pakistan joined forces with the international community to combat terrorism. Since then, Pakistan's military has conducted numerous operations against the militant groups, including the Khawarij and the Al-Qaeda. The war on terror has come at a great human cost.
After 9/11 and United States invasion of Afghanistan, Pakistan has been the frontline state of in this war on terror. And in terms of the sacrifice, I can very confidently say that Pakistan has sacrificed the most and Pakistan has suffered the most. You know, we have sacrificed more than 80,000 lives of Pakistanis. So this was a sacrifice of the entire nation. We have more than 10,000 shodas of our military forces, and then we have more than 30,000 who have lost their limbs, who have got serious severe injuries. So this is in terms of the human loss.
In 2014, Pakistan launched Zarb-e-Azb operation, a comprehensive military campaign aimed at cleaning the North Waziristan of the militant groups. The operation has been successful in disrupting the terrorist networks and sanctuaries.
Pakistan tribal areas, most of the agencies were really under a lot of pressure, and all these elements who were fighting war in Afghanistan, they had their headquarters here, especially in North Waziristan. Then there were elements in South Waziristan, and at that time, I'm talking about 2007, 2008. So at that time, Bajour was almost an Afghanistan agency. So there were elements from Al-Qaeda, there were elements who were erstwhile Mujahideens who were fighting in Afghanistan, and then a lot of Central Asian fighters also. So this was the writ of the government was really challenging. At that time also, the Pakistan Army really sacrificed. The Pakistan Army launched major operations in the form of Zarb-e-Azb, through which we were able to clear North Waziristan, we were able to clear South Waziristan and Bajour as well. So subsidiary operations were also launched in those areas.
Pakistan has also established de-radicalization programs aimed at rehabilitating former militants and preventing radicalization. These programs provide counseling, education, and vocational training to help individuals reintegrate into society.
Manifestation of Pakistan Army's well thought out and comprehensive plan for de-radicalization and reintegration of the ex-militants was to have more educational facilities for the youth of the tribal areas, as well as giving them a better, wholesome picture of the religion. The education facilities were made in the far-flung areas, and to name few is the Cadet College Wana and Cadet College Sawat, from where the officers now have been inducted in Pakistan Army, who are serving the nation with pride and dignity. And apart from these two cadet colleges and the education facilities in tribal areas, plenty of students were sponsored to get education in Punjab, Islamabad and KPK, and number of students are getting quality education in NUST also.
Pakistan's war against terrorism is yet to be over. The military continues to conduct operations against militant groups. With determination and resilience, Pakistan is making progress in its fight against terrorism.
Alhamdulillah, at that time, with the sacrifices of our young officers, young Jawans, young JCOs, and with the leadership at that time, probably they showed the will, and on ground, practically, we were able to wipe out all the elements from these agencies which I mentioned just now. So this can be a conclusion as well. If you have a will to fight, will to clear, and will to achieve the objectives, you can do anything. And then you can see that after the wiping out of these enemies, these Khawarij from North and South Waziristan and Bajor, so a lot of social development took place in terms of in the fields of education, in other social terms.
Pakistan's war against terrorism is a testament to the nation's courage and resolve. As Pakistan continues its journey towards peace and stability, we honor the sacrifices of its people and military, and we look towards a brighter future for this resilient nation. Pakistan Zindabad.
How can we not only forget the brutality with which the students and the teachers were killed on this very day in 2014, but also our armed forces and their valiant efforts, due to which we were able to thwart that and many other further designs by those nefarious elements, whether it be the TTP or other such elements that have tried to destabilize Pakistan and create an image that is contrary to what Pakistan stands for. We have been joined by two guests in the studios to talk about that, and another guest will join us online to discuss more about 10 years of this APS tragedy. What have we done as far as counter-terrorism is concerned? How can we move forward in order to completely rid our country of the Khawarij and all such elements that continue to destabilize our country? Let me introduce my guests to you one by one. On my very right is a person who you just watched in the little report also that was presented before we began our show, Major General retired Zahid Mahmood Sahab, Defence Analyst. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. Our second guest is also somebody who's been in our shows many a times. We always ask him for facts, figures, because this is what his organization does. He is the Managing Director of PICSS, Mr. Abdullah Khan. Thank you very much to have joined as well. We'll begin with Zahid Mahmood Sahab. Zahid Mahmood Sahab, today is the 10th anniversary of the brutality that happened in 2014. 132 students lost their lives. A total of 147 people, were butchered by these terrorists, who were, of course, subsequently also killed by our armed forces. I'd like to understand the strategic response of our armed forces then, and how has that translated into the resolve of our forces now in order to continue to thwart such elements today in 2024. The way the perpetrators of the APS were dealt with then, how important is to continue moving in this same direction with the same resolve, with the same mindset?
Thank you very much, Omar, first of all, for the invite. And let me begin with showing our solidarity with the shodas of that incident, that horrific incident, that no amount of time can erase those horrific memories and probably the grief through which the families have gone through. So it is a time-taking process. But today, as a nation, we stand with those shodas and the sacrifices which they have made for Pakistan. And our salute and gratitude to all the shodas of Pakistan, Pakistani citizens. We have lost more than 80,000 lives. We have lost, we have more than 30,000 injured people in Pakistan. And the whole of the nation has sacrificed. As I said earlier, that Pakistan has suffered the most and Pakistan has lost the most in this war on terror. Now coming over to your question that what we did once. You see that 2014 again was a terrible time. Before that, the operations started, to be very honest, after 2001, and since 2003 till 2013, we faced a lot of challenges. All the FATA, erstwhile FATA agencies, these were almost Afghan agencies. So there were a lot of men fighters, old ex-Mujahideens, the Talibans, then the fighters from the Central Asians, then Al-Qaeda was here. And probably Pakistan was unfortunately left alone to fight these people inside Pakistan, though they were support of the coalition and all that, but that was more of a, I would say that more of a lip service rather than taking concrete steps. And that is evident from the post-United States withdrawal Afghanistan. So it was all chaotic region and all that. But Alhamdulillah, Pakistani nation at that time decided to, they showed their resolve to fight this menace, and we did that. Now the present, and we did that because that was, if you remember, on the day this incident took place, just after this incident, within few days, there was a lot of, there was a political situation, same like today, instability in the politics and all that, but everybody got together and we crafted the joint strategy in the form of the National Action Plan, and all the political elements, social, religious groups, military, we all were at one page, and we were able to craft a whole of a nation approach at that time. But unfortunately, we couldn't effectively follow up on the National Action Plan. Again, today it is the need of the hour. If we are still facing a challenge, because we need to understand, Umar, that today Pakistan is victim of a mix of a proxy war and state-sponsored terrorism from India through the lands of Afghanistan, who have the support of the abettors and supporters within Pakistan also, you know. And then this political environment, so there's a lot of, now the digital war, terrorism, that has also got mixed into this. So our sponsor, the sponsor of this terrorism, they have the clients in form of the TTP, and they have application in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as well as in Balochistan. So in Balochistan, they want to alter maybe the geography of the area, but in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they want to change our lifestyle, you know, the way of life. So these are two different challenges. But again, I would say, to fight this menace, we need to have a whole of a nation approach where the political leadership must lead this war. You know, we can fight, the military forces can fight the terrorist, but nation will have to fight the terrorism. So it has to be a whole of a nation approach.
But nation has been fighting terrorism, I think, since 2003, 2004, as you pointed out. And of course, what happened in 2014 on this very day is a very brutal reminder of how our enemy and its designs want to destabilize, want to create fear within the Pakistani public. And we have seen how the nation got together, stood on one, and had one single perspective, so as to have a proper counter-terrorism strategy that came out in the form of the National Action Plan. Abdullah Khan Sahab, I'd like to understand something. TTP, that we now call Fitna al-Kharij, was the mastermind behind it. 12 terrorists were apprehended. 6 were handed death sentences. Mastermind of the APS attack, Mullah Fazlullah, was killed. Others, Gulzaman Orakzai, Umar Narai, Muhammad Khorasani, were in touch with both RAW as well as NDS handlers. Now, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, or the Fitna al-Kharij, accepted the blame of being behind the heinous incident of 2014, then retracted its claim a couple of years later when the whole backlash came. How do you view all of that as well? And I'd also like to understand the importance of dealing with the backers of these terrorists, and I'm referring to RAW and NDS.
And thank you, Omar, for having me in your show. Actually, let's start with the 16 December. Why the enemy selected 16 December? Because 16 December was already a black day, and the actual handlers were the same as General Sahib has highlighted. So 16 December is the fall of Dhaka. So the day which was selected was meticulously decided, otherwise that would have been any other day. But they actually hammered us again on exactly the same date, the 16 December, the fall of Dhaka. And this was, in our history, these two 16 Decembers now have become the black days of our history. But that was a turning point for TTP. There are some very important phases of terrorism in Pakistan, starting from 2001 to 7, one phase, 7 to 14, second phase, 14 to 20, third phase, and 20 to 20 onward, it is fourth phase. So interestingly, it is roughly 6.5 years a phase or 7 years a phase. I don't know why, but that is a coincidence that it is a table of 7. TTP, when did it, at that time I had said in a TV talk show that it shot in its foot, because after that it lost its remaining support in tribal area or anywhere, because they kill innocent people not from military background. TTP at that time had claimed that we have killed the future leadership of Pakistan Army, but there was nothing to do with Pakistan Army, because innocent students were killed and who had nothing to do. When they saw that the public support is waning from everywhere, then in 2018 onwards, another thing happened in Pakistan, and that was PTM, Pashtun Tahaffuz movement. Pashtun Tahaffuz movement launched a very negative slogan, and which the TTP bandwagon, and they then started to retract it. They launched one of their militant as a former Pakistani soldier, which was perhaps not, but he said it was done by Pakistan military, and they banked upon that and try to put all the blame on Pakistani state, which nobody is going to accept. They did it. Mullah Fazlullah not only accepted it on video, Mullah Nare also accepted on video. They slaughtered a bull and distributed it, and a lot of celebrations had happened at that time. Now they are trying to fool our nation in KP and elsewhere that we did not do it because of the public pressure, but the nation must know that who was behind this brutal act. That was the TTP, and nobody should actually let them forget that. And that is the point. What I want to highlight is the public support is the most important thing while we fight against the terrorists. And the terrorists themselves are actually trying to strive for the public support, and they do different kind of propaganda to win the sympathies of the local people, and putting all the blames against the Pakistani military for every negative thing what they can do. And unfortunately PTM is paving the way for them. They are building a narrative where is now TTP is actually exploiting that situation for its favor. That is very, very serious thing that Pakistani policy makers have to see what is the nexus between this narrative building to both entities.
Nexus, General Sahib, is also present between the handlers who were present there in 2014, who backed all of the heinous incidents, including the 16th of December's tragedy at the APS and others. And we need to highlight the names RAW, NDS, that needs to be said time and again, because of the fact that there is a hostile neighbor that does not want Pakistan to stabilize. And this was just one of the so many incidents that have happened in Pakistan that have been financially and otherwise also backed by handlers that belong to that organization. I'd like to understand, how do you view the resolve of our armed forces and our nation, citizens, post 2015, now in 2024, when we see snippets of such heinous incidents occurring still in parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in parts of Balochistan? B, I'd also like to understand how, despite the dossiers that Pakistan has given time and again internationally on the proofs of those behind the 16th of December, nothing tangible has been done by the powers that be.
Omar, look, post 2015 probably the nation was effectively behind the armed forces, to be very honest. But today this is a big challenge, because once our enemy, we need to understand that previously we were dealing with an India for which we were trained, groomed, and we knew their war tactics or the doctrines, But with this new mindset in India, that is, I'm talking of Hindutva. So now we are fighting with the new mindset.
All right.
And to fight a mindset, you need to craft a strategy for by the nation. All right. So this Hindutva is now, their whole military strategy is based on this use of non-state actors. May it be TTP in Afghanistan, may it be Bishna, the gangs in Canada doing this, non-state actors in America, against the Sikhs, against the Kashmiris, against the Muslims, against Pakistan. So this has become their main instrument of the policy now. The Amit Shah, their minister has already been nominated, by they're implicated by the courts. So the Canada has, the Canadian Prime Minister and the Canadian government and their chief security as advisor has already named Amit Shah, and he was handling all the situation what was happening against the Gurpatwant Singh and behind the murder of the Niger. I'm talking of the Sikhs.
I understand.
Okay,
but you try.
What I want to bring out is that we have a neighbor who is doing all these acts of terrorism, and it is being handled by the top leadership. So I'm talking of Amit Shah, I'm talking of Modi, I'm talking of Dole. So they're monitoring all this.
All right.
So what I want to bring out is this whole state is behind this. They are the sponsors. They are putting a lot of money into it, politics and all that. And why it is, you have spoken about the dossiers, why it is not being talked about, or world is not paying attention, because there is acceptance of this India once we see this India as part of the Indo-Pacific strategy.
All right.
So it is anti-China, anti-Pakistan, anti-Pakistan economics, anti-Pakistan social systems. You see, but one very important point which I want to bring out is that today every Pakistani should understand that he is the target, because they want to draw this. The structure of war and peace is basically on one fundamental foundation, and that is the collaboration of the people and the armed forces. Now they are trying to create a wedge between these two. So they want to take out this sport. The center of gravity of Pakistan is the people of Pakistan, Omar, we need to understand. So their mind is the target. So there are internal elements also who are really helping them. These are not small things. So as a nation, we have to carry out the dispassionate analysis. What are we doing, and how we are harming ourselves, and how we are providing the breeding ground to our these inimical forces, state who is sponsoring terrorism, who is leading this proxy, and the clients in terms of the TTPs and all that, and what all is happening in Pakistan. Probably as a nation we need to sit down and make our defense on the points which I just alluded.
All right, Abdullah Khan Sahab, speaking of dispassionate analyses, our President Asif Ali Zardari Sahab on this today, on the occasion, said the tragedy of APS makes it clear that the agenda of the terrorists was to create chaos and anarchy in the country. But it was not just to create chaos and anarchy, it was also to economically handicap Pakistan. What has been the economic impact of terrorism on Pakistan?
I would say that what the enemy wanted, it could not achieve. APS actually united us at that time, because at that time, as Janat Sahab has highlighted, that there was a political turmoil going on in the country, but we got united with that. The response was a whole of a nation response, and we all got united, and we fought the terrorism, and that was for the first time since 2001 that a single inch of territory did not left with the terrorists. Whole Shawal was the last point which was cleared in 2016, and onward till now there is not a single inch of Pakistani territory under militant control. That was the result of the Pakistani nation's resolve, and that resolve needs to be revived again, and that is the what the financial implications. I think the militants could not achieve anything but the bloodshed, and that was counterproductive for them. The nation was united, we defeated them, and I think that we should now revive once again, remind after 10 years that incident, that blood is once again calling us for the unity, and all those elements which are trying to create chaos in the country, the political turmoil, they must understand that this is existential threat to Pakistan, and we should back out from their hardline stances, and there should be a sense of unity in the nation against this the terrorism threat. And we are not facing just the terrorism threat, that is just one, the whole spectrum of challenges Pakistan is facing, and the enemy has unleashed many fronts against us. This is just one, and the political turmoil in the country is also one of them. We have to get out of that as soon as possible.
Understand the designs of the enemy basically, and understand what is the need of the hour, and how important is a collective approach on very important issues, in that includes counterterrorism. Speaking of which, our president says that this day reminds us of the sacrifice of the nation in the war against terrorism. He says incidents like the APS strategy exposes the real face of terrorists, and Khalid in the Pakistani nation will not let the terrorists succeed in their nefarious designs. How has the 2014 APS heinous tragedy impacted Pakistan's approach to counterterrorism?
You see, once a military to military fight, whenever there is a war, so it's not a big issue for a nation, to be very honest, because we are trained, our militaries are trained, and they're supposed to be delivering for the nation, all right. And that the whole of the nation always stand behind it. But then they started targeting, because they were not having any ideology, so this ideology was all it was a charade kind of a thing. So once they took out our young students, our children, so it was a clear message that this is an anti-human approach, all right. The humanity was ashamed, and that really gave a lot of traction to this anti-war, anti-terrorism campaign to Pakistan, and that really moved the entire nation, all right. So every house, every individual of Pakistan was feeling the pain, whether he was in Fatah or he was sitting in Karachi or Islamabad. So everybody felt that. So that gave a traction, all right. And that was kind of an embarrassment also for a nation, that we are such a huge nation, we are a nuclear nation, we have a big army, we have big security forces, but we couldn't protect our people. So that was basically to create this doubt in the mind of every citizen of Pakistan, to break their will, to impact their faith in the state, that this state is unable to protect our children. So again, it was a huge, this was beyond the physical damage. This was socio-psycho, domains were targeted in that. Look at the trauma which those families or those students are, going through, and this will remain a lifelong trauma. Who all students who were present in that, So this was to hit the social fiber of the society, to hit the faith of the society in their armed forces and the military forces. So it was a big thing. That was the reason that we were supposed to be coming out with a bigger strategic response to these elements. And today again, now our enemy is very much clear that in the conventional domain they will never succeed in dominating Pakistan. So whenever they have attacked Pakistan, or whenever they have taken action against Pakistan, it has been matched according to the escalation ladder.
All right.
Most of the time Pakistan has gone at the above ladder, okay. So they've risen on the that also. If they have attacked Pakistan crossed the LOC daytime 11 o'clock and they engage their targets. If they have tested 5 tests, Pakistan went for it. Now they have decided that in conventional domain it's not possible to subdue Pakistan, subjugate Pakistan. What they have adopted to this use of NSAs, proxy war, state-sponsored terrorism, and creating wedge between the nation to demoralize the nation, radicalization of the students. Then they have got involved into social disruptive movements, YMCs, Jahti Council I am hinting at, and elements and movements like Pakhtun Tahfuz movement. So you know, these Pakistanis need to understand, especially those who are trying to be champion of the human rights violation and in the garb of the missing person, they might have a genuine issue. They start from a genuine issue, maybe they start from a genuine, but later on these movements are hijacked by the enemy. So there are a lot of economics involved in it. And then it is not in your control. Now look at Syria, what happened there, because these wars were because of the proxies which were there. In 2012, the Syrian people, they raised their voice against the corruption of the Assad's family and all that. It was kind of administrative or governance issues, or and that then it was hijacked. Then a lot of external players, they came in to use their proxies, and look what is the condition of the Syria.
External players, proxies, I understand where you're going towards. Abdullah Saab, our Prime Minister, like other leaders, have also taken out important statements on the state to remind people of what happened 10 years back, and also the resolve of the people of Pakistan to thwart out all such elements. Our Prime Minister affirms that the entire nation is standing as a wall of fortified steel against the coward terrorists and would not forget this incident. I'd like to understand, how has this APS attack influenced public perception of terrorism within Pakistan? We are in 2024. I regularly ask you about the facts and figures as to what is happening in KP and Balochistan. How did what happened 10 years back on this very day influence public perception of what terrorism actually is in Pakistan?
Actually, it affected minds all over the country. Initially, it was considered to be a fight of the military and localized kind of a thing, but then APS attack and the way it was conducted by the terrorists, every mind in Pakistan responded, and the people thought that this is now our war. And that was the turning point in our history. Actually, APS attack was the turning point, our watershed moment in our history, which changed whole the course. And that was the point when we started to defeat the terrorism. Our forces were already fighting against them, but the massive support our forces got after APS attack and subsequent launching of National Action Plan. I generally do not subscribe to those ideas that National Action Plan was not properly followed, because now if FATA is part of KP, that was because of National Action Plan, and there are many other things we achieved under National Action Plan. So there was some shortcomings, but overall our progress in National Action Plan was tremendous. And we had military courts which had hanged many most wanted terrorists who were not facing the justice, and many other things we did achieve during this National Action Plan. And what the question you said, that what was the response of the nation?
How did it influence public perception of what terrorism exactly is? This is what I'm trying to understand.
Yes, the nation got to know that these terrorists, they are misusing the name of religion, and they have nothing to do with religion. They are misusing the concept of jihad. They have nothing to do with jihad, because everyone knows that this was not Islam. The killing innocent students, unarmed students, have nothing to do. They are not combatant. Even in Pakistan's context, not a combatant is allowed to be killed, but they were killing totally innocent students, massacring them, and calling BBC that we have killed 80 people now. The terrorists from inside the school, they had called the BBC that we have killed so many. They killed the teachers, they killed the innocent staff members, and 133 students. And one thing, please allow me, that we should appreciate the services of Pakistan Army towards those who had survived. They were taken to the world best health facilities, and now the Waleed and many other students who were shot, the Waleed had shots 8 times in his face. his whole face was taken apart, but he is now a very useful citizen, delivering lectures, talk shows and many others, and that is tremendous service which Pakistan Army did for the survivor. You will hardly find any student which is now under trauma and facing some negative things. That was possible because of the care the nation and obviously Army was did towards these survivors.
All right, General Saab, our Prime Minister today also says, asks for reaffirmation of our commitment to build a safer, more secure Pakistan where no innocent will be harmed, no child will have to live in fear, injustice will be punished and punished severely. What needs to be the new paradigm of our counter-terrorism strategy in 2024, 10 years after we lost more than 130 students because of a heinous massacre?
Omar, quickly, if I can pass a comment on.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Before 2014, probably there was a segment of a society which was under confusion. That whether this is our war or we are fighting somebody else's war. So that incident really proved, and those voices were given the answer that this was purely our war. Okay, so that changed the perception about the war and our approach. Now coming over to your question, the paradigm, the fundamental thing is the approach which we should adopt is a whole of a nation approach where our political leadership, because we have responsible governments in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, that is of the opposition, Tehreek-e-Insaf, then we have a People's Party and coalition government in Balochistan. These are the two main war fronts, I would say. Then we have a federal government. So the federal government and these two governments in collaboration, plus all other social groups or religious parties and whole of a nation, we must sit down, carve a strategy. We should put in more social scientists. Let's bring our youth, our students also with their, every voice which is there for any issue in Pakistan, they should be brought in, carve a strategy, lead that strategy, and our military, they should go with the precision kinetic application and take out these elements wherever they are, hit them strong, even if they are across the border somewhere. We have already given them a lot of warnings. Unfortunately, today we have a misgoverned, disarrayed, disorganized Afghanistan. We were expecting that this government interim government will bring some peace. They must have learned from the past. Instead, in spite of all the pledges which they have made in Doha Accord, they have not following that. And they have been hijacked even by the TTP, because they have been old times, they have been fighting together. Now they have this fear that if they take action against the TTP, there might be some divisions amongst themselves, within themselves. So they have a lot of fear. Lot of money has already been pumped in by the sponsors. So they are also, so they're the biggest sufferer of this war as of today are the 41 million Afghanis, because their government is not paying attention, and to cover up, they are, paying more attention in Pakistan. So kinetic application by the military inside Pakistan, and if needed, we have already told the world, we have already given the doses as you have mentioned earlier. So international community must understand that what all is coming from Afghanistan into Pakistan by the Indians and all that. So this nexus is already known to them, but because of, as I told you, because of the acceptance of the India, nobody is paying that attention. So even if there are targets inside Afghanistan or outside Pakistan, Pakistan military must strike them. Precision kinetic application, precise kinetic application, and create an environment of the dialogue with the people who are supposed to be or who agree to work under the constitution of Pakistan. So it has to be a complete whole of a nation approach. That's what I am hinting at. All right, and every citizen of Pakistan, I am saying it for the third time in your show, that they must understand that he is the target. Every citizen is, his mind is the target. That's why, as I said, that center of gravity of Pakistan is the people of Pakistan. So you have to take defense yourself, whether it is coming from the social media, whether it is coming from the, the elements sitting abroad, anywhere. So no rift, no wedge between the armed forces and the people of Pakistan, and inshallah, again, this resilient nation has the courage, has the capacity, and most importantly has the will that we will deliver and we will have much more peaceful and growing Pakistan.
All right, Abdullah sahab, last question. I'd like to understand, we have time and again talked to the Afghan side as far as the infiltration of the same fitna that were behind what happened on this very day in 2014. We have given them solid proof, evidence as to them being the perpetrators behind it, of course backed by foreign handlers. There is no reaction, no tangible reaction by the Afghan interim government to date. I'd like to refer to what our president said today. He said the international community has to make collective efforts to eradicate terrorism. Isn't this also a collective responsibility of those who wield power globally to deal with this in an effective manner?
I would a little bit add to what Jana Sahab said, and that is that for me kinetic is not the major component of fighting this war. That should be the smallest. The major component is narrative building. War of narrative, because the narrative building is the thing which puts your nation behind you, or creates wedge. And currently we are perhaps facing serious challenges when it comes to this narrative building war. As far as Afghanistan is concerned, yes, I agree with you that this is their loss too. When they will not behave like a responsible state, the world will think about them. But recently there is some good news have come from Afghanistan, that some relocation of TTP's families are happening, and they are moving away them from the area from Pakistan to central Afghanistan. So this is recent development, and some of our friends are also pushing them, and so some good things are perhaps coming. They perhaps started to realize, because they were overnight ruler of a country, and before that there was a militia or militant group. Now they are ruling Afghanistan. But I think that with the passage of time they will understand. Recently we have seen one of the top TTP commander was also killed inside Afghanistan, what the Jana Sahab is highlighting. So things are happening across the border as well. So may not be with the
But I think such a lot of time has passed.
Whatever they used against us, we can use against them as well. Shahid Omar was killed in Kunar recently, and that was the biggest loss throughout the year to the TTP. So things are happening both way in Afghanistan. We may see some good.
But I think the Afghan interim government needs to do more. It needs to do much more than what it is doing right now. This is just a small drop in the ocean as to the points that you have just highlighted. Thank you so very much to both of my guests, Major General Retired Zahid Mahmood Saab and Abdullah Khan Saab, to have come to the studios to discuss and to highlight the importance of this day and what should be our collective response today, 10 years after this heinous strategy shook our nation and led to a collective resolve to thwart all such enemy designs through the National Action Plan. I, ladies and gentlemen, want to end this show with another statement by our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Sahab, who said the entire nation saluted the bravery of the teachers and children and paid tribute to the courage of the security forces personnel who were tackling the anti-state elements with steadfastness and determination. That steadfastness and determination is still there today, but what needs to be done is not only every single element of the society coming together and having the same resolve to thwart all such negative propaganda, negative elements, whether it be in a kinetic way or a non-kinetic way. We have our forces as far as the kinetic way is concerned, but for non-kinetic measures, I think it's the responsibility of every single citizen of Pakistan to end this once and for all, so that we can never ever in the future see an incident like what happened 10 years ago on this very day in the APS in Peshawar. Allah Hafiz.